Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Growing up, my twin sister Amy and I were always treated as equals. Our parents made a big deal about fairness, matching gifts on birthdays, sharing chores, ensuring no one felt left out. If one of us got a new backpack, the other did too. If one of us stayed up late, the other was allowed the same privilege. They never compared us to one another. Rather, they encouraged us to pursue our own unique interests and gave us both the resources to succeed. To my parents, equality was a core value of our family. Amy and I were close, I guess, as a majority of twins are. As twins, we shared everything from school projects to silly inside jokes. But despite our similarities, we had different passions. Amy leaned toward the sciences, excelling in math and physics, while I was drawn to design and art. Even in childhood, I loved sketching furniture, experimenting with materials, and learning how things were made. That creative spark eventually grew into a more serious passion: sustainable furniture design. I loved the idea of creating pieces that were not only beautiful, but also environmentally responsible. For me, attending Elmore University was the ultimate goal. Elmore was a renowned institution for innovative architecture and design, home to some of the most respected minds in sustainable furniture engineering. From the time I was in middle school, I'd immerse myself in their online lectures, watch videos of their student showcases, and dream of working in their state-of-the-art studios. My parents knew how much it meant to me. They encouraged my hard work, applauded my dedication, and promised me that with enough effort, I could achieve anything I set my mind to. When Amy and I applied to Elmore, it was something we both took very seriously. We prepared together, worked on our essays side by side, and supported each other every step of the way. It felt like the culmination of years of hard work for both of us. Even though our academic strengths were different, we each gave it our all, hoping for that coveted acceptance letter. The wait for a decision was excruciating. We both kept checking the mail every day, refreshing our emails, and wondering when we'd hear back. We'd sit together at the kitchen table, speculating about our chances, nervously making plans for what we'd do if we got in. We were very excited to go to the same college together. Then one evening, our parents sat us down in the living room and broke the news. Neither of us had been accepted. They said it gently, reminding us how competitive Elmore was and how proud they were of everything we had accomplished. "Not everyone makes it," my mom said, "but you're both so talented. This doesn't define you." Amy and I were disappointed, but we tried to move on. After all, we trusted our parents. They always had our best interest at heart. Amy ended up working as a manager at a local company. She's done well there and likes her job, but it's not a high-paying position. She makes enough to support herself. Without college as an option, I decided to focus on what I knew and loved: furniture design. Over the years, I had been slowly building a small side business out of our garage, creating custom pieces for friends, family, and neighbors. With no academic path ahead of me, I dove headfirst into the work. I taught myself new techniques, invested in better equipment, and started expanding my reach. My parents were encouraging, often telling me that success didn't have to come from a degree, and that I was proving how resourceful and talented I was on my own. Over time, what started as a hobby grew into something much bigger. My custom furniture business took off. I gained a steady stream of orders, partnered with local artisans, and even began to receive recognition in small design publications. By my late 20s, I had a loyal customer base, a small team of employees, and a thriving workshop. Financially, I was secure. I owned my home outright, contributed to environmental initiatives, and was able to support my parents and Amy. I paid off their mortgage, covered their monthly bills, and helped Amy with her everyday expenses. I saw this as a natural extension of the love and support they had always shown me. My parents would often say how proud they were of me and what I had accomplished. It felt good to give back and to know that I was making a difference in their lives. That's why the message from my mom hit me so hard. It was a short text, clearly intended for my dad, that said, "I still think we made the best decision forging that letter for my name. Look at how well she's doing now. She never would have been this successful if she'd gone to Elmore." When I first read it, I couldn't believe my eyes. Forging that letter? What did that mean? I reread it over and over, hoping it was some sort of mistake. I asked my mom about it, and at first, she seemed confused, saying she must have mistyped. But the more I thought about it, the less sense that made. I began digging through old family papers, searching for the truth. In an old box in the attic, I found the original letter from Elmore University. It wasn't a rejection at all. It was a formal acceptance letter. I had been accepted. I stared at it in disbelief. It didn't take long to piece it together. My parents had used Amy's rejection letter and simply changed the name on it. They had forged a rejection letter for me and never showed me the real one. Confronting them was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I brought the letter to them and demanded an explanation. They didn't deny it. My mom admitted that they had done it because they thought it was the best choice for everyone. They were worried that if I went to Elmore and Amy didn't, it would create resentment and tension between us. They thought that keeping us equal would prevent any feelings of inferiority or competition. And since they knew I was already doing well with my furniture designs, they figured I'd be fine without the degree. Their reasoning left me stunned. They had always prided themselves on treating us equally, but this was beyond fairness. They went too far this time. They had taken away my ability to make my own choice about my future. I asked them why they didn't trust me to handle the situation myself. Why didn't they let me know I had been accepted and allow me to decide what to do next? My father said something like, "Look at what you've built now. You've accomplished so much. You should be thanking us." My mother added, "You're doing better than we ever imagined. It all worked out for the best, and nobody is upset that one of you didn't have a chance to go." Well, I'm definitely upset, Mother, that you took the chance of me to go to my dream college. And it wasn't about success. It was about trust. For years, I had believed I wasn't good enough, that I hadn't made the cut. I had built my life around the assumption that Elmore wasn't an option. I'm proud of what I've achieved, but I'll never know what opportunities I missed, what paths I might have taken, or how my life would have unfolded if I'd known the truth. Their decision didn't just alter my future. It fundamentally changed the way I saw myself, and now my parents. I told them I couldn't support them financially anymore. It wasn't out of spite, but I needed to step back and reassess our relationship. I needed to make it clear that their choice, no matter how well-intentioned, had broken my trust. They didn't just withhold information. They made a deliberate decision to shape my life without my input. I explained that I needed time and space to process everything. I wasn't cutting them out of my life, but I couldn't continue to provide for them financially when I was still grappling with the enormity of their actions. Now my parents are furious. They say I'm ungrateful, and I wouldn't be where I am now if not for them, and that they have every right to my money. They say they only wanted what was best for me and Amy, and that they never meant to hurt me. Even Amy has reached out, telling me they thought they were doing the right thing, and that I should try to forgive them. She says I should focus on how well my life turned out and let go of the past. But it's not that simple. Their decision left me questioning so much about my life and our family dynamic. I don't know if I can fully trust them again. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for cutting them off? I think OP is definitely not the a-hole. What OP's parents did was a monumental betrayal. Forging a rejection letter and hiding the truth about OP's acceptance is not something that can be brushed off as an innocent mistake or well-intentioned decision. They didn't just prevent OP from attending a school she worked incredibly hard to get into. They took OP's choice entirely. By doing that, they sent a message that they didn't trust OP to handle the situation with OP's sister or to make OP's own decision about her future. Their reasoning about keeping things equal might seem noble on the surface, but in reality, they made a choice based on their own fears and assumptions, not what was best for OP. Cutting them off financially after learning about this deception isn't cruel or petty. It's about protecting yourself from people who disregarded your autonomy. OP is absolutely justified in feeling betrayed and in rethinking her financial support for them. And now let's hear the community's opinion. This is truly heartbreaking. Your parents' actions went beyond simply trying to avoid hurt feelings or maintain harmony. They deliberately forged a rejection letter, lied to your face, and essentially sabotaged an opportunity you worked so hard for. It's especially hurtful because they built this image of being supportive, equal, and fair parents. Yet when it mattered most, they chose deception. What's worse is that they now expect you to overlook this betrayal because you've done well for yourself. That's not how trust works. You succeeded because of your talent, determination, and resilience, not because they decided to hide your acceptance. Cutting them off financially doesn't mean you don't love them or that you're holding a grudge. It means that you're standing up for yourself and making it clear that their actions were not acceptable. You have every right to feel betrayed and to draw boundaries after such a massive breach of trust. Wow, what your parents did is beyond hurtful. They didn't just keep a secret. They actively forged a document and fed you a false story about your future. It's a massive breach of trust, and it's not something that can be easily justified by saying they had good intentions. They took away your right to make an informed decision about your own life, all because they assumed they knew best. What's especially troubling is that they don't seem to understand the gravity of what they did. Their reasoning, that it was for the good of the family or that it turned out fine in the end, isn't enough. Your success is a testament of your hard work and talent, not their deception. Cutting them off financially makes perfect sense. It's not about punishing them. It's about making it clear that their actions have consequences. Betrayal like this just doesn't go away because they claim it was for the greater good. You're absolutely not the a-hole here. I have a sister who completely disappeared from our family when she was 19. My family act like she never existed, and it was the weirdest thing because we weren't allowed to mention her name at all, and over the years it became like she never existed, but I never knew why. I was 13 at the time, so I had a phone and I tried to get in touch with her, but she never responded. Then, 4 months ago, she reappeared when our dad was hospitalized. Turns out, our parents and all of the other elders in our family, conservative Muslims, disowned her because our cousin saw her kissing a man, and she refused to drop out of school and move back home when confronted. It's been 7 years since we've seen her, so obviously everyone is super curious about her life, and about the man who came with her the first day to see our dad. Her life seemed so amazing, almost too good to be true. After she left, the majority of our family mocked her and said she had always been a compulsive liar who liked to tell stories. This was a cycle every single time she came to our parents' house, and my cousins started asking her questions, just so that they would have things to laugh about behind her back. They feel vindicated because the man she came with on the first day hasn't been back since, so no one really believes he's her husband, especially because she wouldn't show them pictures of him, their wedding. A week ago, my sister invited our entire family to spend 2 weeks on vacation with her and her husband in November. She said they would pay for everything. Suddenly, everyone in the family was her biggest fan, but it just annoyed me that they were all mocking her a few days ago, and now she was the coolest person ever. So I told her everything they said. Now my sister hasn't been back to see our parents since, and if she wasn't texting me, it would be like she disappeared again. My family are all angry at me and claiming they were just joking around, but now I've driven her away again. My mom just sits and cries all day like she did back when they first disowned her. My cousins are especially mad at me because now they won't get to go on the free vacation. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Just joking has been the go-to excuse of jerks since time began. It isn't a joke if both sides aren't laughing. Your family were being cruel to your sister, who seems to be trying to reach out and reconcile. This is a fragile time, and talking crap behind someone's back is not a good thing to do if you want the reconciliation to work. Also, family that love each other don't disown family, especially not over what your sister did. If your family were really sincere about reconciling, they would take the first steps and apologize to your sister as opposed to sit at home and cry and complain. They would also understand that your sister is not obligated to accept the apology. It is especially telling that what your cousins are upset about is that they aren't getting a free vacation. Not the a-hole, no matter how you spin it in my opinion. Even if you did this despite the rest of your family, they deserve it. Although it's a lesson they won't learn, crap-headed people like that don't deserve free holidays when they act two-faced. You saved your sister the time and money of trying to reconnect with people who deserve neither. I'd want to know if I was the sister. Not the a-hole. Your family does seem like a bunch of a-holes. Telling your sister might have been a stupid move, but I would have probably done the same, because I would have liked to know if things were reversed. Try getting your sister to at least talk to your mom, but honestly, I'd understand if she didn't want to. Disowning a 19-year-old because she kissed someone, but then changing their minds for a free vacation, shows that they're just taking advantage of her. They would have gone back to insulting her afterwards. I'm sorry for you. I hope it goes better for you, but at least try to keep a good bond with your sister in case it doesn't, so you won't be fully alone. I, 19 female, am an out-of-state college student, and my parents, 47 female and 52 male, are extremely overbearing and strict. They're the main reason I decided to go out of state. I literally prefer to be thousands of dollars in debt than being near them. My parents never let me have freedom growing up, and I understand that they were trying to protect me, but it got to the point where I had zero social life outside of school. I never got invited to anything, and it was a miracle that I was allowed to join clubs. My parents refused to let me play club volleyball as it required lots of out-of-state traveling, and I wasn't allowed to spend the night at anyone else's house other than their own. I also wasn't allowed to keep my phone in my room. It had a 10 p.m. curfew, and I had to put it in a lockbox in their bedroom. Their strictness motivated me to get good grades and join clubs, so I could get into a good university and move far away from them. When college decisions rolled around, I picked the furthest university. My parents didn't want me to go to school out of state, and the only reason I was allowed to apply to them was if I agreed to apply to in-state schools. My parents told me that they would not help me pay for college if I decided to go out of state, so I was really happy when I won a full scholarship to my school. My parents, especially my mom, were pissed that I didn't choose an in-state school because it made them visiting me less convenient. My freshman year was great, and I was finally able to be myself without having my parents breathe down my neck. I recently took a study abroad opportunity, and I planned to go this summer. However, my parents had other plans. They didn't even call me to let me know ahead of time. They flew to my university state so they could surprise me and bring me home for the summer. They called me to come and pick them up from the airport. When they called, I was in the middle of packing for my trip abroad. I told them that I wouldn't be coming home, and they were furious. They demanded that I come to pick them up, but I had my own flight to catch in the morning, and I didn't have time to deal with them. I left them there and went to sleep as my flight was really early. My parents ended up staying in a hotel, and they kept calling and texting me, so I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. When I told my roommate about my dilemma, she called me an a-hole, saying I shouldn't have left my parents there, and I should have picked them up. But I never even knew they were coming. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole? You are not the a-hole. Your parents are the a-holes. You don't surprise people by flying in and then demanding they pick you up. Good on you for getting away from them and have fun in your study program. Not the a-hole. Your parents are so strict that they don't have the normal relationship with you that they should. You didn't tell them about your exciting opportunity for study abroad because you knew how they would react. It's their own fault. They probably still think you are in bed by 10 every night, and your phone is given to the RA overnight for safekeeping. Roommate needs to find her own business. Not the a-hole. You had a clear reason you could not go get them, and they are adults who can take a taxi anywhere. It's their fault for not coordinating with you to plan the visit. I see this as a pattern for them, expecting you to drop everything to cater to their every need, and a reason why you wisely moved away. One thing I would suggest, though, is making them aware you are planning a trip, just in case there is an emergency. For a bit of background, I'm a 24-year-old female. My sister Sarah is 18, and she's my mother's daughter. We've never been close because I grew up in my dad's custody 5 hours away from where my mom lives, and I only ever visit her for holidays growing up. Around 6 at night, I got a message from Mom telling me that Sarah will be at the airport in Toronto tomorrow and that her connecting flight has been delayed to the next day, so she will be at the airport for 24 hours. She asked me to drive to the airport to pick up Sarah at 7 a.m. when she arrives from her flight, and then drive her back to the airport the next day for her 8 a.m. flight. Non-essential, she's flying from Northern Ontario to the southern states to see her boyfriend. Now, I really did not want to do this because I live in a city over an hour away and even longer in the morning. Anyone who lives in the TO area knows how bad morning traffic can be. Sorry, but I work both mornings at 8, so it wouldn't be possible for me to do that. But if she wants to take a bus to where I live, she can stay the night. Well, what about your dad or husband? Sorry, they also work. Fast forward to the next day. Mom messages me saying Sarah is really scared being at the airport alone. My friend isn't answering. Please go drive there and spend time with her at least. Sorry, Mom, but I really can't leave work. Well, can you go there after work then and spend some time with her so she's not alone? I can send you money for the gas. I won't be able to get to the airport until probably 8 tonight due to traffic, and last I heard, only people with tickets are allowed in the airport due to the virus. Few hours later, I receive a message from Mom saying that she still hasn't heard from her friend that was supposed to pick up Sarah, and she's feeling really scared and wants me to go pick her up. So my husband takes my phone and replies to my mom with, "The airport isn't around the corner. If she's afraid now, how is she going to be when she lands in the airport of another country, alone, with no way to contact people?" Mom then asks for my number so she can call. "Honestly, Mom, I don't feel comfortable with you having my number. You only ever contact me when you want something. I can't emotionally handle this anymore. I'm tired of it." I then message Sarah and say, "I'm not driving there, but if you want to go to the airport hotel and ask them how much it would cost to rent a room for the night, I will send you the money for the room." She refused, saying she's too anxious to leave where she is and doesn't want to get lost finding the hotel. I tried to tell her to ask security for a help desk, but she was being very woe is me and didn't seem to even want to try. So I ended up muting her and turning my phone off for the night. I've since ignored a couple dozen texts from both of them and simply have no interest in talking to either of them. Part of me feels guilty that Sarah was so scared, and I left her alone, and even worse, I feel guilty that I'm relieved to have cut ties with both Mom and Sarah. Anyways, am I the a-hole? Some further info. I live in Grimsby, Ontario, which is an hour away from the airport without traffic. My sister and mother are from a small town. Neither have really experienced big cities, and this was my sister's first time alone in the big world. My mother is constantly asking me for money. I do feel like my poor relationship with my mother affects my relationship with my sister. A lot of people seem to think I can just show up to work late or leave work early. I work by appointments with clients. I literally get fired for canceling appointments and losing the company potential clients. Not the a-hole. You are a role model for how to say no. Mom should have made the trip with Sarah if she isn't able to take care of herself. Not the a-hole. You explained why you could not go. She's a grown woman and should be able to find her way around. There are taxis, buses, and trains from Pearson International that can get her into the city. What is she scared of? She's at an airport in Toronto. Does she not speak English or even French? That is the least scariest place you could be, and she's 18 years old. Not the a-hole. It's not unreasonable for your sister to be worried, but you can't randomly drop everything at short notice to go and spend time with her. If your mom wanted someone with her that badly, she should have planned ahead better. My wife, female 35, and I, male 35, have been together for 7 years and married for 5. My wife is the primary bread earner in our house. We also have a 4-year-old daughter together who is more attached to me, an important part of our situation. My wife works at her dad's company and is usually gone to attend all the business work and is only at home max 2 weeks a month. I'm not much of a fan of it, but still support her career. As a result of her frequent absence, my daughter and I have formed a special bond with each other. A few months ago, my daughter made a drawing with just her and me, and I ended up putting it on my social media. When I put it on my social media, my wife was out of state, and when she saw it, she wasn't happy at all and called me and shouted at me, saying that I should have asked her to draw her too in it. I straight away told her she was overreaching and that please don't spoil the mood. She continues to bring it up every few days. Well, yesterday, in the morning, I told her to let's take our daughter to the mall, but she straight away said no, as she would be very tired because she had to go later at night to the airport and didn't want to travel anywhere right now. She had to leave post-midnight. She could have rested when we would have returned. I told her I'd take her alone and she could rest. While we were talking, she said that she works her butt off and I live at her house and will be bonding with her daughter, and that it is very unfair that I get to make more memories with our daughter while spending her hard-earned money. I left the house because she views me as someone who is with her for a house or her money. I don't make nearly as much as she does, but I still make enough. She makes around $300,000 and I make $105K, which I don't think is a bad amount. But she still sees me as someone only interested in money. After she said that, I left and said it was her house, and as I am not welcome, I'm leaving, and I went to my parents' house. Now she is calling me saying I'm being an a-hole, I'm overreacting, and she is telling me to come back. Look, she made choices. This is the career path she wanted. Her relationship with your daughter is what she chose to make it. So that part of it, you're not the a-hole. But this money business. Okay, Does she normally make power plays like this? Granted, she's pulling in some serious green, but you're not doing badly either. Why this play for dominance? And why are you living in Daddy's house when you're both making enough to buy a home for your own? Something is seriously wrong between the two of you, and I think your father-in-law has something to do with it. Do not leave your child in the middle of this. This will make her life hell, and both of you need to get out of Daddy's house and into one of your own, far away from these power plays which will destroy your family. You're not the a-hole. I think I will be calling her and saying if she wants us to live together, we will be moving out and buying our own house, or buying the house from her dad and having both of our names. Not the a-hole. You're a team. You're married. Maybe she's starting to realize she's away a lot and your daughter not drawing her and she's taking her guilt out on you. Not the a-hole. Right now she is upset that you are making the memories and she is being forgotten, literally. Your daughter made a drawing that Mommy isn't in, and the day you left and left your daughter there, Mommy dropped her off at her parents' house and went to work. It's a sad situation that she's created for herself, but she needs to understand that it isn't your fault, and she has no right taking it out on you. As for the house, you pointed out that she doesn't own the house either, and maybe she needs to be reminded of that you both live in her father's house for free. Y'all need counseling. Talk with her, and maybe she can pencil her family into her schedule for some counseling.